Michael Jordan is the GOAT of basketball, but is he the GOAT of all sports? Stephen A. Smith recently opened up on his show and said that he doesn't think that Jordan is the real GOAT, and even explained why. Stay tuned, because today we're talking about all of that and looking into the controversy ESPN broadcaster Mike Jones got caught up in after liking a tweet with some racist undertones. First up, what did Stephen A. Smith say? Stephen A. Smith disagreed with his former ESPN First Take co-host Max Kellerman over his top picks about the 5 GOATs of the sporting world. During an episode of ESPN's First Take, Smith, Kellerman, and co-host Molly Karam kicked things off by showing NFL.com's picks for the top 5 GOATs in the sports world. We'll get into those in a bit, but let's see what Max Kellerman's rankings are. Brady fell from first place on NFL.com to 5th place in Kellerman's rankings of the top 5 athletes in sporting history. The sportscaster decided to drop Gretzky out and instead put Muhammad Ali at number 3, while keeping tennis legend Serena Williams in the 4th position. American baseball hero Babe Ruth also happened to be in Kellerman's top 5 choices, completely erasing golf legend Tiger Woods from the list. Finally, Kellerman called MJ, a former basketball player for the Chicago Bulls, who is widely regarded as the greatest player to ever play the game, as his GOAT. Babe Ruth being included in Kellerman's rankings was instantly under fire by Stephen A. Smith, who said that the New York Yankees legend wouldn't even make his top 5. He also said that MJ isn't the GOAT. Jordan was with the Chicago Bulls and had a successful basketball career in the 1990s, winning 6 NBA titles and 6 NBA Finals MVP awards. Even years after his career ended, people still talk about him. Kellerman was given an explanation by First Take co-host Smith as to why someone else would lead the list of sporting GOATs. Now, what's Stephen's explanation? Stephen got brutally honest on this episode of the show. How much he loves Michael Jordan is no secret. After all, he is a 6-time NBA champion who's undefeated as MVP. Even though Jordan has more achievements and accolades to his name than you could count, Smith says that he would still have the basketball player as number 2 on his list of GOATs. This is because he just doesn't think anyone can be put above Muhammad Ali, because the longtime NBA analyst takes into account the level of adversity you have to face in pursuit of your excellence when he thinks who the GOAT is. When you think about it from that angle, it makes sense why Stephen A. Smith would choose Muhammad Ali over Michael Jordan. Ali was truly dedicated to his sport and to making a difference, and his drive to do this was unwavering. He was supposed to enlist in the U.S. military to fight the Vietnam War, but because he refused, he didn't get the chance to compete for many years. Not only this, but he was also stripped of his heavyweight title. Smith also talked about how Muhammad Ali being a member of the Nation of Islam produced a lot of obstacles in his career, as did losing to Joe Frazier. But he still bounced back and wanted to avenge that loss, and finally defeated the iconic George Foreman. The analysts also talked about how terrifying George Foreman was, considering that he was Mike Tyson before Mike Tyson. Next, let's look at the NFL's official ranking. As we mentioned earlier, the commentators on ESPN's First Take were giving their own rankings after discussing the NFL's. Let's take a look at these. Following Tom Brady's 7th Super Bowl victory in 2021, NFL.com published the rankings and gave the NFL legend the top spot ahead of NBA legend Michael Jordan. MJ came in 2nd, NHL star Wayne Gretzky was 3rd, Tiger Woods was 4th, and Serena Williams was 5th in the rankings. Muhammad Ali, an unforgettable boxer, was not among the top 5, which is a bit confusing, but the list is pretty long, and he made it there along with athletes like Pele, Anderson Silva, Ric Flair, and Usain Bolt. This was a while ago, and things have changed, especially when you consider Brady's performance over the past few months after his unretirement. If you're one of the greatest of all-time players, a consistent performance is expected. The new NFL rankings are different, but it's always surprising to see Muhammad Ali not getting the recognition he deserves. Coming up, are Michael Jordan and Muhammad Ali really comparable? There's no denying that both of them were legends in their respective sports. If you ask who's had a greater impact, it would actually be a bit of a difficult question to answer. Just a few decades ago, people said that if you entered a hut in the middle of Africa, a picture of Ali would be hanging on the wall. Honestly, that might just be accurate if you disregard how the continent of Africa was being portrayed. The point is, Ali's influence was huge, not just in America, but everywhere else in the world. He had a Saturday morning cartoon of his own. The same applied to Michael Jordan in the late 1980s. He was about equally present everywhere. Jordan's diplomacy, though, definitely showed the difference between these two athletes. MJ never engaged in any political discourse because he always considered himself an athlete, but Ali was a vocal and proud activist who never held back, even after his titles were withheld from him because of his political views. Jordan played in the Olympics, but basketball wouldn't have been a sport people would have watched at that Olympics as much as athletics. Ironically, the most exposure Jordan got at those games was when he helped Ali light the Olympic flame. Ali was more of an icon around the world, and his fight with Foreman and Zaire pair was watched by billions everywhere. None of Jordan's NBA matches got even close to those numbers. Muhammad Ali is untouchable like that. Now, let's consider Stephen A. Smith's argument further. Even though you could say that a good athlete is defined by just their performance on the court, a great one's impact is seen beyond it. Others have matched Ali's final record of 56 wins, 5 losses, and 37 knockouts, but the caliber of his opponents and his resounding success during his prime made him one of boxing's all-time greats. Ali was also the first boxer to successfully defend his heavyweight championship 19 times while also winning it 3 times in a row. Muhammad Ali was one of the most famous people to have ever lived, and his impact was huge. He was larger than life, and his mission went beyond sports. He didn't have any ongoing endorsements or any huge footwear deals. He had ambition and wanted to make a remarkable impact on social justice and sports. He didn't die rich either, because Muhammad Ali was never in it for the money. He was in it to make a difference. Next, let's look at the adversity he faces. Ali's influence on American society was only growing as the 1960s grew more turbulent in America. Eventually, he turned into a symbol of rebellion in the face of oppression. The civil rights movement was at its forefront when Ali's message of black pride and black resistance to white dominance was released. He held strong political views and said that unless you have a very strong reason to murder, war is evil. This is why he refused to enlist in the Vietnam War. He wasn't shaken by all the threats that his own government was making against him. If that's what Stephen means by adversity, then he's right, we'd say. Moving on to what Mark Jones liked on Twitter. When Mark Jones, an NBA analyst for ESPN, liked a video on Twitter criticizing his colleague Stephen A. Smith for using a racist slur to defend Jerry Jones, it drew a lot of attention. Smith claimed Friday on First Take that Jones did not deserve to be dragged through the dirt after a photo revealed he was with kids trying to keep an Arkansas school segregated back in 1957. Bishop Talbert Swan used a video of dancing raccoons, almost memifying Smith's defense of Jones. At the time, Jerry was a teenager. Mark Jones had unliked the tweet by early Tuesday morning, but it had already been screenshotted and was being widely circulated on Twitter. ESPN hasn't come up with a response to this whole situation yet. Now, a deeper dive into the picture. At North Little Rock High School, Jerry Jones was one of the white students seeking to bar 6 black students from entering the school. The incident happened only a few weeks before the Little Rock Nine, who attended a school less than 5 miles away, integrated Little Rock Central High School, and marked one of the very important milestones in the civil rights movement. Jerry has since admitted that he's in the picture, but he claims that he didn't take part in the anti-integration protests and simply observed them curiously without any hate. Jones, who is now 80, told the Washington Post, "I don't know that I or anybody anticipated or had a background of knowing what was involved." Mark Jones, on the other hand, isn't new to controversies on social media. The ESPN analyst and commentator mocked MAGA supporter Nick Bosa's season-ending injury. That's a wrap for this video. What do you think of MJ not being the GOAT and Mark Jones' likes on Twitter? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.